you so much. What a powerful play. Unlike what I would normally do, didn't come with any prepared speech or anything like that because I just wanted to listen. I just wanted to absorb the play and take it where it led me. And the thought I had at the conclusion of the play is that every single one of the characters you saw tonight came into the Milwaukee DA's office or into the courthouse today. Hundreds of them come in every week, thousands of them every year. Whether they're victims, whether they're the suspects or eventually the defendants, whether they're witnesses, whether they sit on our juries, whether they're the police officers, the people that work in the system to try to make this social compact of ours actually work. Part of each one of those characters lives in the courthouse every single day. And what we try to do is deal with that in some fashion or the other. There is absolutely no question. So got elected in 2006. I'd been a prosecutor for about 13 years before that, working for Michael McCann. One of the last words of wisdom he gave me after 40 years as he was walking out of the office was, "Hey John, if they want to take police shootings away from you, let them. Let them." And why did he say that? Because he knew after 40 years of experience, and I have come to believe it equally strongly, is that there is nothing that brings to surface all of the historical and present concerns about how we interact with our law enforcement, how we interact with each other as a community, than a police shooting. It's the thing that can just ignite it more than anything else. You can experience these things like I talked about. They come in by the hundreds. But a police shooting will spark something that is really difficult to predict, because I think what it does is it again brings to light a lot of issues that we try not to deal with on a regular basis. So every day since I've been elected, I go when I get ready to go to sleep. I'm prepared, and I have now responded to well over 100 officer-involved either shootings, fatal, non-fatal, or anything else. So on August 13th, 2016, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it didn't come as a shock when I got the call and was told that a young man had been shot at just outside of Sherman Park. The sense I had was very bad. You just get a feel for these things, and when I arrived on scene, I just had a sense that this was not going to be like other officer-involved shootings. I just had that sense. And again, what we've come to understand, and this is just the truth, is that the legitimacy of police actions has absolutely nothing to do with the community's response. Because how could it? How could they have even known the facts at that time? But I just had the sense that given all the tensions, all the dynamics, that was going to be the day. And it turned out to be that way. So at the end of the day, stepping back from that, and so how do we address this issue, and what's the issue? How does it overlay with race? I boil it down to one issue. Certainly it's our history. Certainly that's a history of the nation. It's a history of the community that's deeply embedded into how we try to respond to these problems. But as reflected in each one of these characters, I think what we have come to understand as professionals trying to deal with these and try to heal some of the problems in the community, it's all about trauma. At the end of the day, it's all about trauma. Every single one of those characters was expressing some part of their life that they had experienced trauma. And I think if we as a community are going to move forward, we have to look at how we address trauma in our community. And some of that's historical, but some of it's occurring each and every day. Word of hope. The word of hope is, I fundamentally believe that as a community we can do that. If you get the opportunity, visit the Sojourner Family Peace Center, for example. And why do I say that? Because it's a unique model. It's a model that basically says that if you want to stop violence, you have to address it as a public health concern, and that the entire community has to wrap its arms around families exposed to violence. Doesn't matter where they come from, what circumstances they come from, but if we wrap the entire community around a family exposed to violence and treat it as an emergency, a public health and as a community emergency, and start treating it that way from an early age on, we can change a trajectory. And the other thing I firmly believe is that even small interventions in neighborhoods that have historically faced enormous adversity, concentrated disadvantage, even small interventions can make a huge difference. Here's the last thought I'll leave you with. Despite what you might think, the most amazing thing that's happened in the last 10 or 15 years is actually the dramatic reduction of violence in some of our most deeply impoverished communities. Yep, we've had a couple spikes, but overall, and what they attribute it to is certainly some policing strategies, but really it's when communities come together and you start doing intervention and investing in people and in neighborhoods, things can change. And I think that's what we have to be committed to as a community, is doing that hard work. And each one of these characters, like I said, lives here in Milwaukee and is experiencing the same thing. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight.